Can you please call the hearing number for the record?
This is Commission hearing number 139 of Wednesday, 14th April 2021, in case 021 Benjamin Pierre, case 022 Olivia Vincent, case 262 Albert Jean-Louis, case 283 Zosiane Benoit, and case 411 McG family.
Thank you. Can you please call the next witness?
Mr. Patrick Lablache.
I, Patrick Lablache, swear
that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lablache, for coming back yet again. Nice to see you again. We have called you today in relation to 4 cases. Case 21, Benjamin Pierre, case 262, Albert Jean-Louis, case 283, Josiane Benoit, and case 411, the Miji family. And we'll start with the case that's being heard in open session, which is case 21, Benjamin Pierre. And then we will move into closed session for the other cases. So in his complaint, Mr. Pierre claims that when the Seychelles government acquired all of the Shell companies, his business, Bay St. Anne petrol station, was also acquired. And he claims about 3 years after the acquisition, the government contacted him and advised him that he was entitled to make a claim for compensation. And he and his business partner had originally paid 235 rupees for land parcel volume 67, number 255. And the land was registered under his name and that of Robert Andrew, his business partner. He told us that he made an official request for 600,000 rupees, but I think it was 707,600 he actually asked for. But this was refused, and they were offered 240,000, which they declined. And he says the offer was made without any survey, not taking into account all the work they'd done. They'd spent 220,000 to build a mechanics garage, and they'd also spent 60,000 to renovate the store and turn it into a supermarket. And these negotiations took place, he says, before he was brutally tortured in October 1986, after which, when he was released from hospital, he left the country, claimed a refugee status in Canada, and in his absence, he and his business partner appointed the late Mr. Hensley L'Esperance as their proxy. He claims that given his exiled status, he was unable to make a claim for the property during 1987 to 2000. And in 2000, he came to Seychelles and tried to see the president, but wasn't granted an appointment. And then he came again in 2001, and he did see the president and told him about it. And he finally received a letter saying, you're out of time to claim compensation because under the provisions of the Constitution, you had 1 year in which to make a claim. So that's his. So we would like to hear your perspective on the situation of Mr. Pierre. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Yes. The case of Mr. Benjamin Pierre. Pareil, Madame Chair dit, M. Pierre tient dans son business partner, qui est M. Robert André. On est un petit peu dans l'histoire. Le gouvernement qui fait l'acquisition de sa propriété, qui est sa petrol station, mais c'est un parallèle. Les autres owners, les autres parents, sa station. Le gouvernement qui fait l'acquisition d'un contexte nationalisation CPEC, Shell Company of the Islands, à l'époque. Le gouvernement qui nationalise bon assets, bon bien. Shell Company of the Islands qui prend sa business et qui crée ses PEC et qui aussi fait l'acquisition plaisir les autres propriétés qui partent pour Shell, mais qui pour bon opérateur privé. Tout ça, là, tu gagnes prend dans sa de sa processus nationalisation. Shell Company of the Islands. Okay? Ça tient le 2 février 1985. Tu existait l'hypothèque, le salataire, des 150 000 en faveur de française commerciale. Et le gouvernement qui fait acquisition tient une dette 405 004 qui est outstanding, le mortgage. Obviously, the type does a business, the type run my business in normal.
How much was the debt? Sorry, I missed that. How much was the debt?
The debt?
404.
The mortgage was 250,000.
Yeah.
And the outstanding debt at the date of acquisition was 405,014. Now, tous les deux, la banque, avec Monsieur Pierre, lui, avec son partenaire, il submit un claim de compensation. Sa claim, il submitted les 27 septembre avec les 12 août. So, ex-owners, tu mets le claim le 27 septembre 85. On a ici Exhibit 1 and 2 qui montre ça. Et le gouvernement acknowledge ça. OK, tous les claims qui sont acceptés pour déterminer en bas la loi, ça les pour la loi Lands Acquisition Act, comme on nous connaît. Ben ex-honneur, M. Pierre, lui, avec son partenaire, qui claim 707 600 roupies. Madame, son claim là, Exhibit 3, 4, 5. Bon, en vu qu'il tient un mortgage, le salataire, le gouvernement, à l'époque, tu fais cette compensation et tu fais 240 000 roupies. La banque t'a accepté et mon nom le file qui ex-owners aussi accepté.
Sorry, I missed that. So they offered how much did they offer?
240,000.
240, and the bank accepted
Bank
that.
accepted, and
To
also
dis-
the ex-owners accepted it. I have it.
So the bank accepted that to discharge a mortgage of 404.
But the liability, the mortgage was for 250, so they got 240, but it doesn't absolve the liability of the mortgage.
Okay, so they still have to pay the
mortgage,
outstanding balance.
Yeah.
So the bank, what
Right.
authority does the bank have to accept from government less than what's owed by the person on the property?
You see, the bank, when it lends money, it is also taking a risk. I mean, it had a mortgage of 250,000, but it had a balance of 404. So the debt was not really secured because it was 250 and they had 404 outstanding, maybe with interest, but that's normal. I mean,
But
banks have relationship with their clients.
yeah,
And
so
they-
yeah, but hang on a minute. They have they have a business they're running, and they owe the bank 404,000. They think they're going to make profit from the business. They're going to pay that mortgage off. The government comes along, acquires the property, goes to the bank, offers the bank 240,000, and then the bank can still go after them for the remaining.
Yeah.
But how's that fair? How does the bank get to negotiate direct with the government? Why doesn't the bank say, give us all the money they owe? Because then they don't have any security of the property, obviously. They'll have to sell their homes and other things to pay the bank back.
if you recall,
You changed the Land Acquisition Act so that you could
there was
directly.
a case
Yeah.
here where we had to change to, because the owner had to accept for us for the mortgage to be paid.
And the interest was going up and up and up.
Eventually, government amended the act to provide for even the owner doesn't accept the mortgage, it can be paid. But this one, the owners, it was very early, and I'll give you exhibit 6 and 7.
Which
Just
bank
doesn't-
was it? Sorry.
Banque Française Commerciale, which is the forerunner of MCB today.
Seemed to me to be at all a fair deal for the person that was operating a business, that then, the bank can agree with government to take a lesser sum than what they owe and then go after them. I mean, they've already lost their business. And then
I
they have
agree,
to
but,
still pay
but
money.
sometimes you may find that that the asset itself, the security that is offered, is also one security. Maybe the bank has other securities.
In this case, was there any other securities?
I don't know. I don't know if there were others.
Seems like a very raw deal for the person whose property is being
Well-
acquired.
Okay. So. OK. Nous, après le gouvernement, d'après le dossier qui m'ont regardé, il n'y a pas aucune communication encore ça, après. Là, nous payons la banque, on finit de payer la banque, jusqu'à en 1997, on voit le dossier qui, bon, comme M. Pierre lui-même, qui a rencontré ancien ministre de l'ONSTA, bon, quoi, il vient de cesser, là, vraiment dernier, il a rencontré lui, et tiens, qui a suivi après sa meeting qui s'est fait avec l'ancien ministre NSA, qui confirme position gouvernement, là, hein, qui n'a pas un claim qui gagne pas, on dit, Madame Pierre, tu n'as pas un claim qui gagne mettait en 93-94 pour demander un review. Il m'a dit qui ça pas gagne fait. So, cette position qui gouvernement qui dit avec lui, so that's exhibit 8 and 9.
And the government told him this, aware that
Exhibit 8 and 9.
aware of the circumstances by which he had left Seychelles. I mean, he was. People have confirmed to us it's not just his story that he was bad.
I
Yeah,
understand that. I understand that there may have been circumstances where, he left Seychelles. He did
not
not know.
by his choice.
Many people
Yeah.
actually used, from my experience, used, lawyers here or people who represented them. They asked somebody to put a claim for them. Most of the people did it. Lawyers, through,
Well, if they got to hear about it, I mean, maybe he didn't know. He said he didn't know, actually. He hadn't heard about this.
When did he
this
say
change.
he left Seychelles?
1986?
Yeah, 1986.
Yeah, maybe he didn't know about it.
No.
So,
And he stayed away until
but I was not
1997.
at the meeting. So,
I mean, it was a pretty categorical, you didn't put it in on time.
Yeah.
Twice, I think. There were letters to him to that effect. I mean, the thing is, I understand, that why there was that time frame there in the Constitution. But if we're frank, today, you're still dealing with claims of people that put in a claim under that Constitution. So that's why I don't think it's fair to use that timeline, given that government itself has spent over 20 years and still hasn't settled people's claims. You with me?
I am entirely with you. I understand. The same predicament. But if I may continue there, so he was told that.
You're not going on?
Pardon? Oh, sorry. OK. Monsieur Pierre, lui, il est correct que Monsieur Pierre, lui, dit, il écrit président René, mais on a l'information, le dossier qui m'envoie, en avril 2000. demander l'audience pour voir aller. Et ok, ça exhibit 10. Ça une confirme qui est position gouvernement. Bon, exhibit 11, voilà, côté il écrit président René. Et mon pensée, ça t'y avril, mon pensée qu'il n'est pas entendu rien. Monsieur Pierre, lui, il écrit encore le 4 août 2000. Il écrit président René encore, exhibit 12. So, il t'y voit, mon supposé, oui, il paraît de moi qu'il t'y voit monsieur René, en juin 2000. Il voit Ali parce que dans sa lettre, là, il confirme qu'il voit Ali. Il voit Ali. Et il se demande. Pardon?
À cause de dire qu'il y a encore les 4 août.
Il gagne l'audience. Il confirme dans la lettre, il gagne l'audience.
Quand?
2000. 2000, il gagne l'audience.
Was it in 2000?
Mon donne ça, l'exhibit. Il rencontré lui en juin 2000. D'après ça.
Oh.
Il te demande possibilité pour retourner sa station avec lui. Sur la terre. Et le président René t'envoie ça au ministère à l'époque, demande une information. On s'est posé qui position là. Et le ministère t'y briefly. Voilà, qui est besoin d'après la loi. Bon, c'est posé la réponse là, il d'après qui la loi y était. Qui, il pense submit un claim 93-94. Monsieur Pierre, lui, il écrit encore pour président René en août 2000. Et en novembre 2001, voilà. Inquiring, il fait demande sur outcome. C'est qui ça? Présent. Exit 15, le gouvernement, il redit encore, même affaire même. Il dit, ben non, mais vous pensez mettre ça. Vous pensez mettre ça. Ça claim dans sa période qui s'y donnait. Et il finit là même. Mon comprend situation, madame, qui, avec mon commissionnaire, qui, si tu as un problème, un autre problème, pas de ça, mais on est bien, du monde qui guette la loi. On a besoin d'aider, on dit, mais il y a la loi, il dit. So.
I mean, even today, there's no movement on we're just going to look at the law and you're out of time. Is that the position? Even though even today people that were in time are still having their land claims settled? Because if you look at the intention of the provision...
People who have not submitted within the time? No.
Yeah. But, it just seems to me grossly unfair in the circumstances, because if you look at the provision of the Constitution, I mean, it was to resolve these things as quickly as possible, put your claim. The government hasn't resolved them. So why can't someone like him, who was really badly mistreated, left the country as a result of that mistreatment, said, I didn't know. Why is there no flexibility there? No, in the interest of justice, we can, consider your claim.
I guess, I think the law does not provide that flexibility.
Because the Constitution
Schedule
says,
7.
Because the Schedule
7.
But I mean, why do you have to stick everything under Schedule 7? Why can't you say this man was badly mistreated? He was out of Seychelles. Why can't he just be considered outside that scheme?
We didn't know that. I mean, I don't know that.
You don't know that?
No, the ministry would not have been privy to that information that he was mistreated. We didn't know that. I mean, I'm the first time I really hear. I knew Mr. Pierre, I knew him, but I didn't know him. you went through that.
It seems arbitrary to me,
Yeah.
grossly
I
unfair.
mean, if he went through a trauma like this, then of course, I mean, probably he didn't know about it, and but leave this up to you.
Will it be possible for the Commission to make a request to the government to reconsider this case?
Well, I think it's up to you to look at the merits, and if you make a recommendation, I think that's you're well within your mandate.
What did you say it was again? Schedule 7?
Schedule 7, Part
Under the
3,
lands
the Constitution of
acquisition.
Seychelles, 1993.
I know the section well. You know, another thing, you know, I think I just wanted to ask you is that we have a number of cases where let's just say hotels, government is acquiring, okay? Government is acquiring, someone wants to privately sell it, and government says, no, you cannot sell that property because Cosbro is going to acquire it from you, and we're not going to actually acquire it, we're going to give you this amount of money for it, so it's a sale. Now, those people were also excluded under that Schedule 7 of the Constitution because it was a sale, but the sale itself appears to me to be a fiction.
If
Because,
somebody sold it, you mean?
yeah, they sold it because they were told they wanted to sell it privately, and they were told, no, you cannot because the government wants it and you have to sell it to us. And then we negotiate with you, but the negotiation is what we're going to give you. There's no actual negotiation. And then they were excluded.
Yeah, but the government cannot interfere in a private sale.
It's the government
unless it's
itself.
a foreigner.
Oh, well, yes.
Unless
This
it's
is a foreign.
non-Seychellois. I mean,
Well, it's a foreigner selling to a Seychellois, the example I have in my head. It was a foreigner selling to a Seychellois, and the government said, no, we do not authorize that sale.
no, we can't.
Well, you did it.
The government, a non-Seychellois selling to a Seychellois,
Yes, you did it.
it doesn't, because it's always the buyer. It's not the seller.
Yeah, but you did do it.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
know
you
of
did.
the case.
Not you personally.
government
Yeah, the government did it. The government did it.
Do you know which case it is?
Yeah, it's case 81, a Deutschman case, the Flying Dutchman. They wanted to sell it to Luke Grandcourt. They drew up the paperwork. The government said, no, you will sell it to Cosbro. And then they were excluded from any consideration under the 1993 Constitution because they said it was a sale, which to me is like a fiction. It wasn't a sale.
Well, government, I think, told them government wants to buy it, rather than say you can't sell it to that person.
Well, no.
But the moment you
yeah.
said that, the person
Yeah.
also will not buy it.
Yeah.
Government wants to buy it.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. I think they were told. I'm pretty sure the documents do say that you will sell it to government, right? But it just seems to me these people who thought, oh my God, my land's going to be acquired. Best I sell it. Maybe I'll get a better deal. And then they didn't get a better deal and they were excluded. I don't understand why those people who are now coming to us saying, I sold under duress, but they were excluded. Why were those people? Obviously, I haven't read all the papers from the Constitutional
I
Conference.
think, Madam Chair, you see, one has to go back to the transcripts of the discussions that were held when they were drafting the Constitution of the Third Republic. There's a lot of debate, a lot of things put forward, and I'm sure, I don't know if you've had the chance to read it.
Can't find
It's
them.
we
The
can.
National Assembly
Yeah.
cannot find them so
Yeah.
far.
They cannot find it?
No. Are they? Then they're probably in Creole,
Because
right?
that's probably why, you see, maybe that was why they didn't provide for that. They didn't provide for, they provided only for cases that were compulsorily acquired. So one has to go back and look at the
But I
logic behind
suppose
it.
even if there is a logic, it doesn't sort of change, in cases that we've seen the unfairness. It doesn't change that. Even there was a logic at the time, maybe limiting or whatever, but it doesn't seem to change the unfairness that a lot of people, believe from those sales for little money. All right, so we will adjourn and move into closed session. So you have to say, all rise. I don't know why we rise.